Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Back talking another new Fall of Anime 2025 episode review for you guys, and I'm here to basically review my status as an assassin obviously exceeds the heroes. Which interesting. It's funny. I just got done reviewing Unlimited Gotcha. I just got done reviewing that. Well, I was recording. I just got done recording that video. But it's funny how I was thinking the premise of this show was going to also be a revenge anime, but it actually kind of isn't. Not really. You know, it's not your typical revenge anime. That show that looks like, oh, that could be the happy-go-lucky, maybe, well, still dark show, was going to be that show. No, this show is, albeit still dark, but it definitely doesn't give me revenge vibe animes type of thing. It's kind of like, you know, our character, Akira, kind of going against the grain and going against maybe certain politics and things like that. But this show is basically your typical isekai. It's kind of like Aru Fueta with some elements in it, or some other animes in terms of it, where, you know, in a classroom, our character, Akira Oda, funny enough, you know, it's funny how they fuse Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, and then Ichiro Oda's last name together. And basically, you know, he's kind of like a silent, keep to himself character, and people don't really associate with him as much, but they do somewhat interact with him, but they all know, like, you know, he kind of stays to himself, and he's kind of like alone all the time. He's a loner. And essentially what happens is they end up getting summoned to another world, and they get summoned to a kingdom where the king is like, hey, you guys have a chance to be a hero. Hey, let me analyze your skill and everything. Now, Light, obviously as it's going on, because he's like, hey, you can actually pop up your skills if you just say the word status. That's what the king says. I said Light. Akira, he does that, and he sees that his stats are crazy freaking high. Now, his class is like assassin, but he has even higher stats, because then one of his classmates ends up having the hero traits, right? And his stats have it to where he's even above the hero in their class and everything. So what he does is he actually like uses a skill called conceal to make it seem like, you know, he was never there, right? So what happens is, as he's walking and following his class, one of the guards, or one of the knights, who actually we later find out in the anime and in the episode, has like you know, heat seeking, or like, you know, body temperature skill, which he can see like somebody's body temperature even if they're, you know, invisible, which is actually a pretty useful skill. Like, for somebody to go invisible at the same time you have a skill that can be able to discern body heat and everything. That's crazy. But he did see that he was there, right? Now, Akira doesn't really trust what's going on, and he doesn't really see, like, you know, they summon us for a reason, but I feel like they're hiding things from us, right? And he has a suspicion. Also, it's crazy because we start the episode off of him going up against another, like, I guess, assassin or something. And, like, legitimately, that fight scene was crazy good. But he ended up, like, I think, stabbing a dagger in this dude's, like, arm or whatever. And he ends up breaking it, which is crazy, right? So, regardless, cutting back, he has a feeling like there's something going on. The king hasn't told us truly what the class needs to do. It's just, well, summon, like, you know, come see your stats to see if you're going to be the hero, right? He ends up sneaking in behind the king at some point, and he does see that the king's up to some shady shit. And he's right behind him, and he understands, like, I could actually kill him, and that could be it. But he doesn't, because he feels actually guilty doing that. So what ends up happening is he actually does run into that guard who ended up seeing him. Again, I'll have the knight's name, right? So the knight's name was, you know, at first I thought would actually kind of judge him for it, right? And actually, no, he doesn't judge him. He actually is like, oh, understandable why you would probably do that, because look, I'm not going to be honest, you know, I'm going to be honest. The king has been acting quite weird, and he's been handling business differently than how obviously we see fit. And basically he knows it, like, look, now I can't do anything about it, but I know since you're an assassin, you know, especially the class, you know, assassin class, you know, you can you can probably do something about it. And I did like how Akira, he made the mention, he's like, I had him right there to kill him, but I couldn't go through with it because, if I killed somebody, that there's blood on my hands, and I don't know if I could ever get over that. Especially with me being raised in a very family like home. And he does mean to mention how he misses his family, which is actually really cool to see out of an isekai, because typically with the isekai genre, especially when it's characters that get summoned home, the outside maybe the only other character maybe Ari Fueta with with our main character there, right? With Nagamo. I think when it comes to like any character being summoned to another world, we don't really kind of get their perspective of like how, they're feeling about being in a different world, how they feel about their family. Like I know we delve a little bit into that with like Subaru and ReZero. Not really much with Kazuma from Konosuba. But it's actually an interesting take where you actually have a character that, he's worried about, if his family thinks he's gone missing and shit like that, and he misses being home and he wants to find a way to go home. Because apparently, the knight does say like, hey, look, if you don't want to go through this, look, man, I understand. We can sneak you back home. So it seems like in this world, they actually can find a way to transport the students back home if they want to go back home, right? And back to their world. But, obviously Akira sees like, well, I got to help out here and I got to do what I can. And basically, the knight is like, well, I can train you. I can help you get stronger and everything and hone your skills and stuff like that. And basically, Akira's like, are you sure? Like, I'm probably gonna have to pay you a crazy amount of money. And he's like, no. You don't have to worry about anything. Like, what I just want to hear is the stories of your world. That's all I can see. Now, I will say with the knight, I don't know if I can trust him yet. He definitely does give me vibes at some point he will maybe potentially betray us. Especially if he's the fact that he's going against the king, right? And he wants to see the king be taken down. So for all we know, maybe he has the ulterior motives, and he's just been using our boy the entire time. But, I would hope he's good, but I can totally see it if this guy was kind of an evil dude and he was just using Akira just for his own endgame, right? So he ends up training with him. After some training, him and the class go to a dungeon. So I guess at some point he revealed himself back to the class, and he showed that his class is, he's an assassin and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, cool. And that's another thing that I did like, because you have it to where in some of these other isekais where it's like shows that involves like a class being, a class being, summoned. Typically they do the typical trope where they, analyze their abilities and their skills and their strength. And, guess what? Our main character is the one character that gets ostracized because they have all these weak skills and stuff like that. And because they have all these weak skills, the class hates them for whatever reason, even though the class knew the kid in their class, and they start ostracizing, people in their classroom saying, oh, you're not a joke. You're nothing. Get out. You're banished from us, right? And in this anime, I was really pleasantly surprised they didn't go that route, because that's a typical trope when it comes to those type of animes where the entire class is summoned, their whole skills are revealed, and you get your main character that's got nothing special, and they literally in the class just ostracizes him. Now, I think that's kind of an unbelievable type of thing, because it's like, look, bro, if you're in a class with somebody, I don't think you're gonna ostracize people because they have a weak skill. Now, maybe you may have some people who are just absolute assholes feel that way, but like genuinely, an entire classroom shouldn't feel that way about one person. Well, then again, unless they have feelings about how weird a kid is, but that's kind of the thing there, right? But they end up going to this dungeon that's like one of the stronger dungeons, and they're obviously putting in the work. They're trying to escape because obviously they're getting overwhelmed with some enemies, some monsters. And you have it where like the one hero, he got this I guess ball, this little, I guess, dust thing that's supposed to be kind of be like repel from Pokemon. It keeps monsters away, and the princess of this kingdom apparently gave it to him. He threw it, and it evolved this one creature that was like probably like a creature that they could have handled with ease, up into a damn minotaur, right? The Danmachi Minotaur never escapes me. And because of it, we get left off on an episode cliffhanger where they're struggling to take down this Minotaur and everything. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, because eventually, if they all get back alive, and it's clear that this was a setup from the kingdom to take them down to this crazy strong dungeon, and then it was kind of a setup on the princess to give them like this, this repel away, but essentially it evolved the monster and made them stronger. So, it's clear if they get out of there next week, they're gonna probably try to see, and the classmates are gonna see if they're gonna judge the king, and they're gonna probably ask him like, hey, what the whole deal was with that? You freaking betrayed us, right? Are you trying to kill us? And that's clearly what it's looking like. It seems like, this kingdom, they're using their power. The king is using his power to summon, people from another world, make them heroes and stuff like that. And then, for whatever reason, tells them to go to this dungeon. The princess officer is clearly in on this. And she give them like this thing where it's like, oh, it's basically instant death. So, it's crazy, man. But this show is interesting. Now, when they were walking through the public, before this whole dungeon mission, there was this girl in a hood that, was looking at him. Akira ended up sneaking up from behind her, and she's like, you don't understand truly what's truly going on in this kingdom. And she basically does say, like, I do figure we will run into each other again. Now, my best case is she's probably that elf girl we see on the poster of this show with the white hair. She had blue hair, right? But just looking at it, but then again, I do see a blue-haired character. But who knows? Maybe, it is the elf girl in disguise. But we'll definitely see. But really good episode. I'm really liking the show. Definitely can't wait to see what the show's got left to offer. I'm just happy that this show is not a revenge anime where the main character gets ostracized by his class. And it seems like the only revenge anime we got is, Unlimited Gacha 900 or 9,099. 9,999. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. If you guys in the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Assassins anime or any other anime I upload to the channel on a weekly basis. Other than that, guys, catch you guys in the next video, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.